Good morning, everybody. I was going to say everyone, and it came out everyone-y. Everyone, everybody, hello. Thanks for joining us today on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. This is the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media. My name is Brian Engelman, and this is Blake Walley. Find Blake. He's on X at TV's Blake Walley and at thenextlevelnews.com. Please do so. It's been an interesting start to the program with Double Glitch Day, but we are going to get through it because that's just what we do around here. Thank you for joining us again on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. On today's show, we're going to discuss, we're going to ask if Trump orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the election. We're also going to talk about the Dems. What are they threatening? Oh, wait till you get a load of this one. I mean, it couldn't be any more on the table what's at stake right now. And even if you don't love Trump, it might be time to support him in general principle. Also, we're going to ask about those representatives. I'm sorry, we should do air quotes around the word representatives. The representatives who waved Ukrainian flags in Congress. Should they resign? Also, the MAGA movement. Do they prey on people who are ill-informed? We're going to travel down to Arizona at the battlefield of the invasion of the United States of America under the direction of the Biden puppeteers. We're going to ask about that Arizona rancher. Should he be retried? Yes, retried. I didn't misspeak there. We're going to cover that story. It's very important. I might want to lead with that story and then get into some of the Ukrainian stuff. But also we're going to ask about the National Guard. Should they be called in? You know, they weren't really called in for the summer of love. Should they be called in now to crush some protests? And finally, who is the best president that we've ever had? Blake, aside from what you think what the answer is going to be, I won't tease the audience with that one. Wrong answers only. Give me a couple names in the running for best president that the country's ever had. Wrong answers only.
Luke Skywalker. Well, that's where, yeah. Which is also where I got this idea from.
Okay.
Mark Hamill suggestion. He's getting roasted on Twitter.
All right. Well, Luke Skywalker. I also would have accepted Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
I would have also accepted that. But anyway, we will discuss that and more on today's show. If you like the New American Media and want to support what we do, go to patreon.com/the New American Media. Also go to thenewamericanmedia.com. We are revamping it and updating it. Kind of haven't really used that homepage very much lately, but we're getting back to it. And follow us in all of the other places, please. All right. Busy news day. And I think we should jump into, I want to start in Arizona with that story. So let's cue that one up and we'll be right back. All right, everybody. Agree or disagree, Blake, that the Arizona rancher should be retried for murder after his mistrial? Agree or disagree? Let's discuss that.
I am going to disagree. And I guess there was 8 jurors. I'm not exactly sure how this works. Maybe it's just a local trial. But I guess 7 out of the 8 jurors had found him not guilty. This rancher who had shot an illegal immigrant who was trespassing through his land.
Wait, you said immigrant. Was this somebody that filed immigration papers, or this is somebody that
invaded into
his property through the country?
Nope, this is an illegal, maybe you'd say invader.
Okay, it's important to make the distinction. If this is somebody
illegal immigrant, so he's an immigrant but illegal. So. But anyway, let's we'll pull up this story here.
Yeah, because this one kind of got lost in the weeds. Like, can we just kind of reset what happened on this story? I'm not sure how in depth the article goes, but just for the people who haven't covered it at all and aren't really aware of what's happening.
Well, yeah, why don't you cover that one, Brian? It's been a little while on my end too, but it doesn't really cover that. We were kind of waiting for this trial to happen because that was it was a big deal.
Okay, let's hold off on the
aliens coming into the country, and they're going through private lands, and yes, there was like a group of them. I don't know if it was. I'm not saying a cartel or anything like that, but I believe some of them might be armed. And this rancher saw it. Yeah, he's got violators, trespassers on his property. And I don't know if he shot out warning shots. I don't know. So, Brian, like I said, you wanted to get the background. What is the background here? You're probably more familiar. You wanted to make this the #1 story. What do you think? What is your recollection?
Yeah, without getting lost in the weeds myself, I don't want to kind of trip over a couple of key points that maybe were misreported along the way. So I'll leave some of the specifics aside. I guess I need to do. My recollection is that he saw armed men with rifles, and he fired in self-defense. That was my quick recollection of it. But apparently, this going 7-1 to a mistrial. Mainly, let's just cover this because I think our right to self-defense has been under attack, and I'm getting really fucking tired of it. From Kyle Rittenhouse to Daniel Penny to this guy down in Arizona, self-defense is the most sacred thing that we have. And the people that are going after the people who are defending themselves, these are enemies to the country. If you can't defend yourself, you don't have a country. You don't have autonomy. You don't have freedom. So just seeing these self-defense cases get put on trial, it's so agitating. That's why I wanted to make it the #1 story. I guess, aside from getting in the weeds on the specifics of who saw what and who alleged what and who needed to meet certain thresholds, I'll set that aside. But I don't know. What does this article have to kind of update us to? They said it was 7-1 in favor of not guilty. So one person held out instead of giving it a not guilty. And I guess now It's up to the DA to determine if they want to retry this case or just let it go. And I don't know, would they give it with prejudice or without? I don't know how it works, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a different thing. And it's Arizona state law. So there's, 8 jurors instead of what we think of as typically 12. But so as a mistrial was declared on Monday in the case of George Allen Kelly. He's a 70-something-year-old Arizona rancher who was accused of fatally shooting a Mexican national who trespassed on his border property in January last year. So it's been a little while, over a year. After one juror out of the 8 refused to acquit him of the second-degree murder. So based upon the jury's inability to reach a verdict on any count, according to Judge Thomas Fink, said this case is a mistrial. So the Santa Cruz County Attorney's Office can still decide whether to retry Kelly for any charge or just drop the case altogether. So there was a status hearing scheduled for next Monday, when prosecutors could inform the judge if they plan to refile the case. So Kelly's co-counsel, Kathy Lothrope, told the media that 7 out of 8 jurors said he was not guilty, but one juror's refusal to budge caused the mistrial. So let's take a run this quick clip here.
There was one holdout for him. The rest were not guilty. So 7 not guilty, 1 guilty.
So that's, key to understand. 7 out of 8 said not guilty. So George Kelly told the media, let's let him hear him in his own words as he addresses the media here.
Reminds me of the Bundy Ranch stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. Very similar. Classic Americana.
Let this guy in. You ready? It is what it is, and it will be what it will be.
It is what it is, and it will be what it will be.
Let me go home.
All right.
Okay? Is that all right with y'all? It is what it is, and it will be what we will be. I will keep fighting forever. I won't stop.
Ahí escucharon las palabras del señor Kelly, que ya no quiso dar más declaraciones, pero básicamente dijo que el resultado es lo que es.
That's really about it as he walks away. So
That's so Bundy Ranch.
yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a terrible story, but I mean, yes, if it was the stupid immigration policy and there weren't like, armed trespassers going through your property, none of this stuff would have happened. And I believe there was a shot fired from the other side. I don't know. I don't remember all the details, but it seems like this is his land, his home, and he has a right to defend it. And these people were there illegally trespassing.
Yeah, they were armed on his property, and I think I think what we should do is we should maybe do a quick Twitter dive that kind of recaps we should do a Twitter storm or an X storm now. An X flare is what do they call them? X flares instead of Twitter storms? Do they call them X flares? That's pretty clever, right?
Whoa, there you go. You have to present that to Elon. There you go.
All right, at Elon, come on. It's an X flare instead of a tweet storm.
Sounds
all right,
good.
I like that idea. That's something we need to push here. But yeah, I think just having some of the key components, because with Kyle Rittenhouse, when a story happens, you really can't come out with a firm, solid opinion of things for at least 72 hours. There needs to be a 72-hour period of just seeing different sides, reporting, misreporting. You thought you understood, but by the time I fully understood the details and I watched the videos and I kind of got a grasp of the timeline of Kyle Rittenhouse, I was like, this is persecution. This is insane. Why is he getting charged with any of this? And so, yeah, it would be interesting to kind of make sure that I have the details of this. What's his name? John Kelly, did you say?
George Allen Kelly.
I'm sorry, George Allen Kelly. Committed to memory, because yeah, it's a little murky for me as well. I know Daniel Penny had a violent man that was wasn't he threatening to kill people on the subway, and he put him in a restraint, and the guy
he had a history of violence and outbursts, and a big long rap sheet. Man,
Blake, I saw this. I was if you go on Twitter or on X at American_media_ and follow Blake at TV's Blake Walley. I believe I reshared something. This demon-looking human tried to kidnap a boy at a Colorado park. I think it was an illegal alien. Like, look at the picture. It looks like just a clown demon, like a methed out, like a Dave Chappelle character covered in people who are allowing crazy people to just roam through our communities. I for the love of all that's holy, I don't understand how this benefits anybody in any positive way. I don't get it. And I'm entitled to answers, and we're entitled to better. I really don't understand the upside to just letting unknown people swarm in. I mean, you don't do that at your birthday pool party. You don't do that at a concert. You don't do that when you buy tickets to go see a movie. Like, things have an organization and a structure. This stuff is beyond out of control. So yeah, let's keep an eye on Arizona to see if they decide to retry, or if they're going to drop it with prejudice or without prejudice. I'm really curious. So when we get an update, we will bring this story back to you here at the New American Media, because any of these self-defense stories are massively important to all of our liberties and freedom. So I definitely wanted to lead with that one. Okay, let's jump into the next topic here. All right, we are back to talking about Trump. Trump Talk 2024. Agree or disagree that Trump orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the election? And yes, I pronounce the word scheme very specifically, because that's how Blake Walley uses that word. So Blake, agree or disagree? Trump orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the election.
No, that's absolutely ridiculous. But those are the words from the prosecutor in this latest show trial in New York. So here it is. As out of the Federalist, prosecutors accused Trump of a criminal scheme to corrupt the 2016 election, while the Russia hoaxers walk free. So, in the opening statements on Monday, Manhattan prosecutors sought to convince a jury that former President Trump orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the election. Meanwhile, the perpetrators of Russia collusion, the real criminal scheme that was orchestrated to meddle in that election, so far have been able to walk free. So the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg claims Trump broke the law after he classified payments made by his then lawyer, Michael Cohen, to pornographers Stormy Daniels as, quote, legal fees rather than campaign expenditures. Anyway, they've kind of trumped up these charges as a misdemeanor. It was like a what is it? I forget what they call it. It's like a business meddling, or I forget what it. I have to go pull that back up. But prosecutor Matthew Colangelo, who formerly held a top post in President Joe Biden's Department of Justice, that's not biased, alleged on Monday during opening statements that this was planned, long-running conspiracy to influence the 2016 election. So that's to help Donald Trump get through illegal expenditures to silence people who had something bad to say about his behavior. Like, give me a break. So that's what they're gonna go for. They're making this sound like it's 1,000 times worse than it actually was. He's saying it was election fraud, pure and simple. Sounds like projection, pure and simple. But that's what Colangelo continued, according to PBS News. The defendant, Donald Trump, orchestrated this criminal scheme, blah, blah, blah. Then he covered up that criminal conspiracy by lying in his New York business records over and over and over again. So, I mean, I'll pull up this highlighted paragraph here. The Manhattan prosecutors are seeking to put Trump in jail for 4 years. But meanwhile, the operatives who invented a hoax accusing Trump of being a Russian asset in 2016 commissioned a dossier of fake opposition research and shopped it to the FBI, which then used the shoddy, quote, research as a basis to illegally spy on the Trump campaign. They've received a light tap on the wrist, if any punishment at all. You have Christopher Steele from the Steele dossier, who was fined $105,000 and then $8,000 for labeling the payments as legal and compliance consulting. There's a few people got minor in trouble, or somebody got 400 hours of community service. It's a joke. Meanwhile, they're trying to make a huge deal out of this thing, which really doesn't make much sense. I mean, there's a lot of people like on Twitter, like, oh my God, like, yeah, Donald Trump, he's in so much trouble. It's like, this is a stupid like hush money thing from like 2006. It's like 20 years ago, and it's a nothing. And it's just over whether, he included on his election records. I forget it. It gets a little muddy, but it's silly, and it's normally just a misdemeanor. But they do anything they can. This is the lawfare to go after Trump. So Stormy Daniels, this big scandal, if you want to call it a scandal, it involves allegations of an affair between Trump and porn star Stormy Daniels and alleged hush money payments by Trump to buy her silence during the 2016 campaign for U.S. presidency. Oh, so it's falsifying business records is what those are the allegations. So just to bury the story, because it's a distraction in the run-up to the election. But now they're calling it falsifying business records and indicted for making these fabrications to cover up other alleged crimes. So that's what it is, and $140,000. And meanwhile, Trump is trying to go for re-election, and they're going to hold him in trial for the next 6 to 8 weeks or so, force him to be there. And then they're making fun of him because he's falling asleep in this trial, which he really shouldn't be there. This is blatant election interference. I would love to know what people really think this is a serious crime. It's not. But they're going to. It just shows you how desperate the Democrats are to go after their biggest political rival. This supposed scandal, which happened allegedly 20 years ago.
Well, I once again call on Ron DeSantis to have his attorney general file civil rights abuse charges and election interference charges from stemming from the abuse and name Alvin Bragg personally. I don't know how unprecedented that would be, but doesn't their unprecedented attack on the person leading, just blowing out Joe Biden in the polls, doesn't an unprecedented attack on Trump warrant an unprecedented defense? I don't know what the Supreme Court is waiting for. There's no charge here that makes any sense. Like you said, this is a misdemeanor past statute of limitations. Once again, I mean, it's hauntingly reminiscent. It has echoes of that E. Jean Carroll thing. It's like, well, there's past a statute of limitations. She wasn't wearing the thing that wasn't invented yet. She didn't really know what year it happened. She didn't know where it happened. He never met her. Like, none of the story made any sense. Oh, except it did make sense because it was ripped out of the headlines from a Law and Order episode. But you couldn't give any of these common sense rebuttals to the accusation. Show trial. That's kind of where you landed talking about this case from the beginning, Blake.
Yeah, it's falsifying business records over a stupid hush money payment from something that may not have even actually happened.
Well, only if you went by the word of Stormy Daniels herself, who released a letter, allegedly, that says, I was asked in 2008 and 2011 and 2012 and 2014 and 20, and the answer has been the same every time. No, there was never an affair, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Thank you. Like, my understanding is that's in public record. Like, what are we even doing? And why does Trump need to be here for this show trial? Why is nobody stepping in to stop this? Because in the process, the process is the pain. The process is the punishment. The process is the desired result. So why not stop the process? I just don't get why DeSantis isn't pushing for it, why the Supreme Court isn't jumping in and going, guys, this doesn't, you should lose your law license, honestly. We're dragging you before the board and we're going to take a look. This is insane. Try these people like Alvin Bragg, like Letitia James, like Fannie Willis. Drag them before the board and run them through the ringer. Press pause on this and say, hold on a second. If we allow you to run, the Donald Trump through the mud right now, you're going to get the desired result. I don't think you deserve to take him off of course based on anything that you've presented so far, and this is really calling into question whether you should be in this profession, and it's calling into question whether or not you should be in jail. So, the process here, 8 weeks, can't go to his kid's graduation. His attorneys, I guess, Laura Loomer was complaining they can't. It's Passover or something. They have to be there on whatever specific day. They're not making any accommodations, any reasonable accommodations. And it's just they're trying to railroad this stuff through. They're trying to just jam it on to completion, Blake. Just get this through hell or high water. And I'd love to see these people that claim they can be fair and impartial against President Trump. I find that general concept to be hilarious.
Right. No, there's no there. I mean, this is such a minor thing. And it's hard to even say what Trump even had to do with any of it. But it's not like he, made up a bunch of, smears against his political rival and, claim that they were being, manipulated by a foreign power. They weren't spying on other people's campaign. I mean, what they did to Trump was, no matter how you look at it, 10,000 times worse than whatever this is.
They should all be in jail for what they did.
Right. Yeah, hate Trump all you want, but I mean, they're just trying to manufacture this as though it's like the worst scandal we've ever heard. No. So there's just, but yeah, this is another thing. They're just trying to take down Trump in whatever way, no matter how desperate and pathetic it is. And you've got the people, the judge and Alvin Bragg, put in there by George Soros. And then we've got Judge Merchan and his family's big time into the DNC. He's weighing whether Trump violated his gag order in this hush money trial, audaciously accuses Trump lawyer of losing all credibility. And then we've got Donald Trump here saying, highly conflicted. Judge Juan Merchan has taken away his constitutional right to free speech. Everybody's allowed to talk and lie about Donald Trump, but he's not allowed to defend himself. This is a kangaroo court. And let's see. Yeah, I got undercover liberal activists lying to the judge in order to get on the Trump jury. But I mean, this judge's daughter is a liberal activist, big time. And of course, the prosecutor is a liberal activist who was put there by the arch liberal activist, George Soros. So it's crazy. Now they're trying to get him to not be able to talk. Even Michael Avenatti was the sleazy lawyer involved in the original hush payment trial here, or this whole mess. Has even said this is a bogus case. So nothing. It's sad that this is what we've come down to in this country. So just lawfare against your political enemies. But meanwhile, they keep the pressure on. It keeps the pressure off of them because they're the ones that really should be on trial for the whole Russian collusion hoax that they perpetrated on the people for years, and they still do.
We're living in a cuckoo clock, Blake.
Right.
It's just constant gaslighting. What was Hillary saying? I saw a video of her the other day, and Father Time is angry at her, and it's kind of reminiscent of Indiana Jones, the Temple or the Last Crusade, where the face is melting. But it's Hillary talking
face melting Nazi mace. No, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark, first one.
Yeah, maybe it was Raiders, and she's talking about, I think it was Putin, and he kills his political enemies, and he does this and he does that. It's like, oh my God, lady, you are pot meat kettle. Like this, they project everything that they are onto Trump and MAGA. The Republican Party in general, honestly, if they're just going to be another wing on the same dirty bird as the Democrats, that really isn't a difference of party. But the MAGA Republicans, I think the battle lines have changed, Blake. Either MAGA is going to take over the Republican Party or leave the Republican Party. They had a chance to put in Never Nikki Haley of the deep state, Never Nikki Haley pushing perpetual war, always bombs and explosions. Never Nikki. But the people decided. So, I mean, we'll see if they stick with Trump. It's coming up on the next story. I'll just jump to it. They're not just trying to take his money away. They're not trying to just throw him in jail. Now they're trying to Epstein him. Agree or disagree with this one, Blake? The Democrats want to kill Trump by stripping his Secret Service.
Yeah, that very well could be. And just one final note. I'm wondering who's had more people killed, Putin or Clinton had more of their political rivals killed. I will easily take the Clintons on that one.
Oh, man.
They've had a lot. They've had a few dozen. I don't want to throw out numbers, but a staggering amount of people that have been committed suicide under suspicious circumstances.
Shot in the back twice.
Yeah. So
Vince Foster.
Right.
What was he? That was a shotgun laying by the side of the tree? By a different tree or something?
Yeah, it's bizarre, and they want you to believe all that. And you have a lot of power over the media. I mean, it's the same thing. So how can they criticize Putin when they got the Clinton body count?
That body count was large in the late 90s. So, I don't know how you want to draw lines around that one, but I mean, either we allow ourselves to be ruled by people like Clinton or we don't. There's it's time to make a choice, y'all. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is telling you about the choice that Democrats are going for now. It's all out in the open, Blake.
Yeah, well, if they can't get him, in one of these bogus cases and put him away for years, then they're going to try to kill him. And she's calling this out. So this is amazing. Apparently, Benny Thompson has introduced a bill to strip Trump's Secret Service protection. So I guess she was on an interview with Alex Jones. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene stated the Democrats want Trump dead. She said you have to remember that he's trying to run for president again, and he has put everything he has into defending himself against these rigged trials. So Billy Thompson or Benny Thompson, this is Billy or Benny, whatever.
Benny Thompson from Mississippi, 2nd Congressional District, a black man. So I guess, this sounds like a racist hate crime to me.
Perhaps. So he's introduced a bill to take away his Secret Service protection. They want to lock him up in jail for the rest of his life. So if he does die in jail, and they want to take away his Secret Service protection so that he is murdered. So one way or another, they want to get rid of him. And they're just openly, just brazenly putting this out there. So here he is, Benny Thompson, introducing legislation that would strip Secret Service protection for any individuals who spend a year or more in prison. So they want to, so they're denying infinite security. And of course, they've never given RFK Jr. Secret Service because even though his father and his uncle were both assassinated, they won't give him protection. And they want to take it away from Trump. So it's pretty amazing. So why even put this stuff up? Why even go to that level where you're going to say, I'm going to introduce these bills to deny Secret Service protection to certain people? Like, that's such a huge taxpayer expense, or there's no really good reasoning for going out of your way to do this. So he titled the resolutions denying infinite security and government resources allocated towards convicted and extremely dishonorable former protectees act, or disgraced for short. I don't know who comes up with this stuff, but it's amazing. And then there's 8, of course, Democratic co-sponsors of the bill. They're going to be worried that this could be used against them at some point, but I guess they're not. They're planning to win every election going forward, turning America into a banana republic, jailing their political enemies, and yes, and they're just going to abuse their power indefinitely.
Wow. Okay. Yep, it's right out in the open, people. This is the extent they're willing to go to. If they're not going to attract. What do they say? You attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. I don't know. Scooby-Doo masks are off, people. They don't just want to spy on their political opposition. The Democrats want to actively kill their political opposition. You see it with Bolsonaro down in Brazil. You see it here. You saw the overthrow in Ukraine. It's just, this stuff is getting really, really, really wonky. See, Blake, the thing they maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't understand, or maybe they don't care. If the people in charge were giving us a strong, safe, high-quality life, I kind of wouldn't really care who got super wealthy in the process. I kind of wouldn't give a shit. Crime is manageable. Inflation is the opposite. We have deflation, so like the value of our money is going up, and we can purchase more things. Relatively safe communities and little debt, great infrastructure. But it's the opposite. Like, the squeaky wheel is getting the grease because everything is sparking. The smoke is billowing. This whole thing is falling apart. And it's not accidental, Blake. It's by design. That's the part that some people don't understand. I used to go back and forth. I would vacillate between is Obama, Biden, this whole deep state Democrat thing, are they inept? Are they just totally rumbling, bumbling, stumbling fools? Like a Chris Berman highlight. Or I don't think that they are fools. I think that they're doing this intentionally, just like in Vegas, your former hometown. When they place the charges, they bring the buildings down and they have a plan of how they're going to demolish. First you have to clear out the old to bring in the new Agenda 2030. I don't think any of this is accidental bumbling. I think it's very convoluted. The lies on top of lies are making it hard to remember the third lie that you have to tell to protect the first lie without tripping up in the second one. It's all a house of cards, and it's all falling apart at the same time, Blake. I don't even know what there is to save at this point. We'll get to some protesters in a second, but it's like, what even is America? Is America a country that you can identify with, Blake? I guess we can identify any way we want in 2024. Do you identify as an American? Do you identify with this government?
Well, not entirely, but I mean, there's still there's hope here. There's still a battle for the republic, and this just as one side. This is the radical wing here. I guess it's kind of the uniparty, but I mean, can you imagine MAGA doing something like this, like trying to strip, Secret Service protection for Joe or Biden or Hillary Clinton or something? I mean, it's a step too far. Or just
Blake,
right.
I don't know if it's a step too far. I think that they've earned treason charges.
Yeah, it's probably a big point of it is that they know that they have been engaged in some audacious criminal, conspiracy stuff. And so that they have to make it look like they're the good guys and go after any rivals that could do them harm. So they're trying to, twist this and turn this republic into some kind of, flaming democracy, which could be very dangerous. Just having a radical majority,
vote for, the imprisonment of their rivals. That's what Brazil democracy is. It's a nightmare. That's why our forefathers were adamant about having a republic and setting up a Bill of Rights, so that majority rule wouldn't take place. They knew how dangerous that could be abused. Yeah. So it's weird having the Democrats are always like, oh, it's a threat to our democracy. It's like this isn't a democracy. It's theoretically a constitutional republic if you can keep it, ma'am. If you can keep it. I saw what was it, Amazon Prime or something? I was scrolling. There's like it appears to be like a Benjamin Franklin series or a movie or something. I don't know if you saw that. I've been watching Fallout on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you ever used to play Fallout or whatever. I know of it. I haven't played it. It looks cool. It's like the post-apocalyptic first-person shooter game or something. Yeah, it's pretty neat, I would say. Is there anything good that you're watching on TV these days? What have I watched? I did start action. Gentleman. Huh? NBA action. Are you gambling on the NHL? No, I don't care about the NHL very much. No, the NBA playoffs are interesting to me, and that's about it. No, I haven't been gambling much. Football's my game, but I did win a little bit of money on the Timberwolves in Game 1, so that was cool. So we'll see. Did you ever watch the TV show Ballers with The Rock? It's about sports agents and stuff. No, I'm not even familiar with that. I know the Entourage one, something else. Okay. Well, no, it's very from Mark Wahlberg directed both of them. So it's got a very similar kind of vibe. Rob Corddry from The Daily Show. Remember that dude? Oh, yeah. Hilarious. I like him in Hot Tub Time Machine, yeah. Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine. You haven't seen the Hot Tub Time Machine? I hung out with the guy in that movie, but I've never seen that movie. Oh, that's like outstanding. And even the second one's got a lot of funny parts, even though it's not as good. But those are huge. What's the guy's name from The Office? That's in Hot Tub? Steve Carell? No, The Office. Yeah, the Afro guy. Oh, is it Craig Robinson? Craig Robinson, yeah. Oh, is it? I never really got into The Office, but Craig Robinson's hilarious. The Office is hilarious. Get into the Steve Carell one. Get to season 2.
No, I don't. There's no way. I didn't think it was that funny. It's weird, and there's so many seasons. I'm never gonna get caught up on that one.
All right,
The Gentleman was good. I watched the first episode.
Yeah, I finished The Gentleman as well. It was all right. It was a
Okay.
little weird, interesting.
Well, the movie. Did you see the movie, The Gentleman, with Matthew McConaughey, or you just saw the series?
Oh, there was just a series on Netflix. I saw that one. It was
Right.
like a 6
Well, it's kind of it's like very similar to The Gentleman, singular, not plural. That's with Matthew McConaughey, but it's the same concept of growing weed and the gangsters in England. Anyway, I did see the first episode of The Gentlemen, and that was pretty good. But anyway,
That's a wild first episode. That ends pretty abruptly too.
oh yeah, it's great.
Chicken. Anyway, all right, moving on. Frankie says this is the climax nearing the end of the story. I mean, it's gonna end one way or another. I just want the right people to kind of hit reset. We boards of directors rotate, corporate priorities all the time. Whatever's been happening for the past 3.5 years and whatever happened during those 8 years under Obama, I mean, these are not positive changes, people. These are not good things. These are not healthy. These are not successful. These are not safe. These are not sustainable. We desperately need the right people to come in and try to run this country like a company. So a captain that knows how to steer the ship instead of knocking it in a Francis Scott Key bridge or something and taking the whole damn thing down intentionally, perhaps. So anyway, we will see if this is the end of the story. Let's switch gears off of Trump here and get into Ukraine, Blake. Continue that story. Agree or disagree that representatives that wave the Ukrainian flags in Congress should resign? Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree. Not that that's ever going to happen. They should be voted out. I mean, they should be almost tarred and feathered. I mean, our forefathers would have done that if that's what they would have. If old Congress would have done something like that back in the day. And this was absolute disgrace. As Dreamers Ultra is saying, watching all of Congress waving flags was sobering and depressing. And it's amazing how they're celebrating, giving away a bunch of our tax dollars to this failed, lost cause proxy war against Russia. So it's amazing to see that, and just see the leftist influencers on Twitter celebrating this or trying to make it sound like this is a great thing. Like what is, Brian? What do you think another $60 billion is going to do for Ukraine? Is that going to push everything in their favor? Are they going to win the war against Russia now with that extra? That's all they were. They were just $60 billion short of victory. I don't
Lockheed, Boeing. I'm thinking of the Great American Northwest and all of those corporations pushing for this $60 billion. How much was the Trump wall that he was denied by Republicans and Democrats that they said was too expensive? Was that $5 billion? Am I recalling that number correctly? And
I don't even. Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly. I'll have to look that one up.
And then the materials were provided, and then Biden let them rust, and then he sold them off for scrap at 10 cents on the dollar. Instead of just installing and building the Lego set, he just swept it into the trash.
Yeah. No,
this budget did nothing, Blake, for the United States. What in the world was Mike Johnson doing? Mike Johnson, didn't he voted away from what the Republicans were voting for, what the MAGA Republicans were voting for, right? He turned and jumped on to vote like a Democrat.
Right. So that's disappointing. We might have to pull him. And just to say, the border wall estimates said maybe at the most 28 billion, but that was according to Bloomberg in 2013. They've also said 15 billion, 25 billion, and then 21.6 billion and take 3.5 years to build. But the point is a fraction of what this latest expense to Ukraine was. We could have already had the wall completely built, had it secure, no more illegal immigration. But no, and then instead of passing anything from the border, there wasn't anything. So it was 95 billion. 60 of it was to Ukraine, and then how much was to then of course Israel and other expenses, but nothing for us.
Tell us what some of these people said. I saw Rand Paul in there. Thomas Massey's always good. Anna Paulina Luna. Give us the highlights there, because let them break it down, because they're as pissed off as you and I are.
Yeah, so at least there was only 112 representatives that voted against it. So here's Rand Paul would not. Ukrainian flags fly in the chamber of the United States House of Representatives as they vote to send more of your money to a corrupt foreign regime. And then they got on the floor and were cheering Ukraine, Ukraine, while happily working to secure Ukraine's borders, not ours. Representative Anna Paulina Luna said, "Put those damn flags away. It's a disgrace to display any other flag than the American flag in the House chamber." Of course, I completely agree.
Press play on that. I think she shouts that at him.
The House will be in order. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise? I said, no. The gentlewoman from Florida.
Stand up. Put the damn flag away.
Nice. And I don't know if it's this lady right here, but I mean, that was passing out the flags. And then, of course, they showed how everybody was waving it and yelling for Ukraine. It's amazing. Yeah, put the flags down. Then you got Thomas Massey saying, yes, this is the U.S. House of Representatives under the direction of a Republican, Speaker Mike Johnson. The Democrats are celebrating his total capitulation with no victory for securing our border. Here it is. Absolutely disgusting.
What a mess.
And then they're celebrating this. They just gave away a bunch of our money. And now they think this is somehow it's a huge victory. The only flag that deserves to be there is the American flag. So yes, these people should resign in shame, but of course they're not going to. But it was bizarre to see that. Let's pull up. We'll get a few tweets. Hey, look, the people who constantly cry about insurrection every waking moment, waving foreign flags on the House floor. And I was saying, yeah, maybe there should have been a real insurrection on J6. Look at what these traitors have done. Here's another one. U.S. Congress has fallen. Another foreign captured institution exposed. That from John D'Souza, former FBI agent. What else do we have? Health Ranger Mike Adams. Congress just carried out its own insurrection against America. U.S. Congress now works for Ukraine and is at war with America's interest. And then, of course, we got the leftists trying to normalize this. This one of the Midas touch, the three brothers, these goofballs. He's saying MAGA weirdos spend all day on X and are stuck in their own bubble and think everyone holds their beliefs. They think they speak for the country on issues like Ukraine aid. They don't. The American people overwhelmingly wanted this done, and they are sick of these MAGA weirdos. But then I called him out almost immediately, and I said, lies from a lying liar. There is no way that the average American supports more of their tax dollars getting thrown into another war. So, of course, I got no response on that. Not that I would expect one. But when that didn't work, when they were unable to gaslight the public into believing this was what we wanted to spend our tax dollars on, then they decided to play the Confederate flag card and saying, oh, here's smuggled Mrs. Betty Bowers, saying funny how all these Republican fascists, I don't think she understands what that word means, but she says the fascists who are furious today about seeing Ukrainian flags in the Capitol because only the American flag should be allowed didn't seem to mind this flag being in the Capitol. And here's this weirdo goofball with his Confederate flag. I did call it out, but I'm apparently censored. I must be muted by Betty Bowers because I've trolled her a number of times and she's probably scared of me. I said, wow, one guy showed up with that idiotic flag. Where are all of his friends sharing their support? Brian, do you see anybody around him? Do you see other people with Confederate flags waving proudly? No, it was just one lone nut asshole. So I said, did they vote to send $60 billion to the Confederacy? And I've got one more for you, which I said kind of the similar thing with a real patriot here, Patrick Byrne, who's saying this guy turned out to be a Fed, right? I don't know if he is a Fed or if he looks like a Fed, but I also wanted to point out exactly what I said before. Either way, it was just a lone half-wit. No one wanted to be near him. No one voted to give $60 billion to the Confederacy. This isn't the dunk they think it is.
You know who might know if that's a Fed? Check with Ford.
Yeah, I don't know if I think he looks like one of the cops that was up there with the tattoos, like Michael Fattatoni or whatever his name is. But I don't think that's him.
Ford has like an encyclopedic knowledge of who's who and
on J6, yeah, he knows all the players. Yeah, I don't know if he is or isn't, but I'm just saying, regardless, it's not like anybody celebrated this guy. He's either a Fed or he's a lone nut. Nobody wants to be associated with that. Nobody celebrated that. So it's sad to see that the Democrats should be like, this isn't a good look for us. We might want to switch things up. We got to stop giving our money to Ukraine. And instead, they celebrated this. Oh, this was a great thing. Yeah, America wanted this. Oh, MAGA liked the other flag, the Confederate flag. No, they didn't. So they're just gaslighting us. It's sad. But there's your modern Democrats. They can't think for themselves.
Well, let's move from modern Democrats to MAGA Republicans, Blake. Agree or disagree that the MAGA movement preys on people who are not informed. And that's really the root of what's going on here. Agree or disagree that the MAGA movement preys on ill-informed people.
I am going to disagree. This is more projection. This is a New York Democrat wishing death on Trump supporters. This is a Democrat who's running for congressional office, has received fierce backlash now for wishing death on supporters of Donald Trump. It's Nate McMurray, who's running to represent New York's 26th congressional district, posted the demented comments on X shortly after the weekend vote for funding on Ukraine, which we've already covered, but here he is. This is his own tweets. Slava Ukraine, die, MAGA, die, you lose. And he said, hey, wait. After the backlash, which should have been obvious, this is, major engagement farming. So he's saying, listen, wait, hold on. I'm not trying to antagonize MAGA.
Okay.
Yeah, you are. But he says, I refuse to let them strong arm us into silence. Too many Democrats are out there being timid. That's why the reaction to me is always so strong, because they're not used to Democrats being bold, I don't know, in their territory. And he went on to say the MAGA movement praise. Let me see if I can pull that up. I thought it was on there. That's where I got the title for this. So they're praise on folks who are often scared and not the most informed, twisting their legitimate worries into racism, xenophobia, and outright paranoia. You've got to call it out loud and clear to save them from themselves. That's my mantra. There's a better way, and I make sure they hear it. So I don't know what he's very delusional. It sounds like he's in his own little bubble trying to believe this. I don't know. So it says, unlike some politicians who tiptoe around and only get gutsy in slam dunk collections, I'm out here clapping back at the MAGA crowd. So he says, I'm never going to physically hurt a soul, but I will hurt your feelings. So it's some way I appreciate people who are, bold and willing to put out those sorts of statements. Is this, did I have this out? No, I never pulled this one up. Here it is, the tweet in its entirety. So we can,
you mentioned
we can run a quick
engagement farming, Blake.
What's that?
You mentioned engagement farming, and I also saw that Elon talked about it. I don't know if you sent something and I responded to. What is going on with engagement farming? At a quick glance, I go, that's what all media is. Here's a topic. Here's a story. Go talk about it.
In some ways, some people abuse that by setting up lots of fake conversations. There's a financial incentive now in acquiring more followers, getting more clicks, getting more people to view ads. And so, but I do see a lot of that engagement farming where it is kind of annoying. And I did put out a kind of a mock tweet about that. About let me see. I know you've retweeted it, Brian, but let me go pull it up.
I do retweet a lot of great stuff. Make sure you're following the New American Media at American_media_. That's American_media_. If you go to the newamericanmedia.com, the main homepage, and go to the right-hand side, it's kind of toward the bottom. It has our Twitter feed embedded on the page. Make sure you're following Blake at TV's Blake Walley, Walley. And Frankie saying, I believe this shows that the New World Order has infiltrated our government. There you go. All right, Blake, you pulled up which one here? Should we?
Yeah, they represent the military-industrial complex. And I've even called out some of those other people for saying the exact same thing. I just don't understand why the Democrats would defend this awful legislation, a failed war, and they want to throw another $60 billion at it, just without even thinking about it. And then they're going to go after MAGA for it. It's amazing. But yes, as far as the engagement farming goes, Elon Musk put out a tweet saying any accounts doing engagement farming will be suspended and traced to source. But then I put out just kind of I was kind of trolling it. Should we suspend people for engagement farming? Comment below. Which is kind of how engagement works, right? You're saying, hey, what do you guys think of this? Comment below so I can, build up and people see that and they respond. And then you have that's kind of an engagement farming. You're getting people to participate in the conversation, but a lot of people do that. So,
and I think the best part about media, it's not reading one source. It's looking, it shows the wisdom, Blake, of when, it'd be like Regis Philbin who wants to be a millionaire maybe, and they'll go like, let's poll the audience. Out of the 100 audience members polled, 71% want you to go with option B. And you go, oh, there's some wisdom in the crowd. So when stories come up, I often like to jump right to the crowd and hear what some people are saying and see who's getting ratioed and see what facts have been, is the article generally accurate? Is it junk? And then I think the comments are the best part about the New American Media, about the new global media. I really do. The comments illuminate all the nuances if you scroll down far enough, it seems like. But yeah, that's kind of funny. Comment below.
Yeah, so I don't usually do stuff like this, so that's why I thought it was funny. But yeah, a lot of people do that, and they do get a lot of engagement. Maybe I should, so I can try to boost numbers or build up my profile or what have you. But you don't want to get carried away with it. And there are people that are artificially in enhancing their numbers, which is they kind of gave a brief explanation. Practice of artificially inflating engagement metrics on social media. So they want to combat deceptive practices and enhance the authenticity of engagement on the platform. So I don't know, Brian, I've got a backup account. I don't know if you have a backup account, but if we were to sit there and try to have these full conversations on Twitter and trying to boost our numbers, perhaps that would be a bad use of engagement farming. Certainly, yeah, but it's subjective.
Well, anyhow, so MAGA movement preying on people who are not informed. You disagree with that? You think the smartest people are MAGA people?
Well, it's not even. It can go different ways. There are intelligent people, and there's all kinds of people on either side. But you still got to look at the major issue here. And when it comes to this, issue on Ukraine, they shouldn't be giving away our tax. We got enough problems here at home, and we've already given Ukraine, I don't know how much money. So how is this going to do anything? And what are they getting together on it's a Saturday afternoon, for God's sakes, 4:20. And these assholes are up in Congress passing laws. Yeah, it's also like, the 702 FISA, and they're going to get rid of TikTok. I don't know why they always try to get these when people aren't paying attention. They can't even do it on a weekday. So
Creature from Jekyll Island?
Yeah, exactly. They got to, or do it over Christmas break. Yeah, pass some law. And yes, giving away more money when we're already $34 trillion in debt now. And we got to give them, 60, how far could 60 billion go here domestically? Or even just on the wall. It could pay for the wall twice, 2 walls.
And all the wall is having the right amount of bouncers and the right infrastructure. If you had a festival, but you didn't have a fence, you have to build a fence and have checkpoints and hire bouncers. That's it. You check the bags, you pet everybody good, you come on in, have a good time, enjoy the show. That's all we're talking about with the wall. We're not saying it should be like anyway, it's insane what's happening, Blake. I saw a video where Zelensky was being handed the list of all the people who voted to give him money. I wonder if that's the kickback list. Like, is he going to then send $500,000 checks back to these people? It's like, quid pro quo. You gave us this, then we'll give your political action committee fund that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a circle of corruption. But
So
there's a lot of this is a lost cause. Ukraine has no chance to defeat Russia. It should just give up those couple of territories of the ethnic Russian people that live in Ukraine, who would rather be a part of Russia than this corrupt clown show they got, where they're being treated terribly. So mind their business, keep Ukraine neutral, give Russia the Donbass and Crimea, and whoever else wants to be a part of Russia, and leave it alone. And if Russia actually, invades Poland or a NATO country, then we can, intervene if we have to. Then it might be actually a time to go to war. But this is a lost cause over.
But this is a declared proxy war from NATO. NATO nations, by allowing the U.S. to do this, as if they have a way of stopping the U.S. from doing what the U.S. wants to do. But let's, for the sake of argument, say that, where they go one, they go together. NATO being used to fund proxy attacks against Russia. I mean, the war that was started was an offensive war against Russia, objectively speaking. I guess they say the exact opposite. They say that Russia invaded Ukraine, but they don't mention all of the reasons why NATO encroaching into the border zone of Russia. They don't give you that part of the history, right?
Of course not. No, because then people wouldn't support this thing. We could have saved a hell of a lot of money by just having this done the peaceful way. Like, let the people in Donbass and Crimea have a vote, which they have. They have voted and said they want to be a part of Russia, but we don't recognize that.
But when Ukraine was overthrown in 2014 and Zelensky was propped up,
yeah, I
mean, that's the lengths that the deep state were willing to go to. This is right there on the border. Imagine if this is happening in Canada, happening in Mexico. It's right on the border. I mean, this whole thing, why does nobody give a shit to negotiate peace in this? Like, there's no talk about it. Russia repeatedly wants to resolve this and stop. And Zelensky and Biden just want to keep pushing forward, and very happily so.
Well, they've been very
open
about it.
Why is there no willingness for peace in this process?
Well, yeah, I know exactly, and Tucker Carlson went over there to get the straight dope right from Putin, and said the same thing, and then they crucified Tucker Carlson for it. So yeah, and Trump has said he could fix this whole thing in 24 hours. You never know, probably could. It was an easy solution, and it could have been done a different way. And instead, we keep throwing resources into this, and there's no way. Like Russia's only getting stronger, and I don't know. It's a shame that this has to happen. There's so many innocent people that paid for this with their lives, and there's the meat grinder there on the front lines of Ukraine, where they're just the average recruit now is 40 something years old. They're being it's like Anne Frank. They're trying to hide, or it's Inglorious Bastards. People are trying to hide under the floorboards to get away from the Zelensky regime. Because if you're a military-aged man, which is like anywhere from like 15 to 55, they're going to try to kidnap you and throw you out to go fight in the Russians, where you're probably going to die within a couple of weeks.
Now, what are those videos we keep seeing about that claim to be Ukrainian nightclubs? Have you seen these as you're scrolling through? Like, look at them partying. Like, what war? What are we even talking about? Glad our tax dollars are funding these alcohol-fueled orgies and or whatever, these raging nightclubs. Like, I assume there's men in these nightclubs. I don't know. It's just in a war, you don't know what's actually happening. That's the hardest part. Of trying to make sense of any of this, because all we're getting is propaganda. It's very difficult to find out what's actually happening. We'll hear what hysterics are screaming on one side. We'll hear what hysterics are screaming over here. Maybe the truth is that or something else, but it's impossible to know. I keep seeing all these videos of the nightclubs thriving in Ukraine.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but that's like in Kyiv. So they keep trying to make Putin out to be this monster. Like he's out there. He's not trying to conquer Kyiv. He's not trying to kill civilians. He's just trying to liberate these ethnic Russians that are in these eastern and southern regions of Ukraine. They'd rather be a part of Russia. They don't feel like they're at home in the corrupt regime of Ukraine. So they want to go back. And they're not allowed to. I don't think it was that. I think it was mostly after 2014, after the coup. The engineered coup by Victoria Nuland. And then they treated those parts of Ukraine, they were terrible. I mean, it's like genocide. Like it was some really bad stuff, and they didn't like how they were treated, and they were like basically reaching out to Putin, saying, help us, please. And it took years as Putin would try to do it, the diplomatic way, and then when that finally failed, and then he got his troops up to the border and said, "Okay, here we go. I don't want to invade, but I will. Like this is your final warning." And they still wouldn't listen. And then they sent in their conscripts with their, the oldest equipment, like just trying to do this as easily as possible. And it just amping up the pressure little by little. And so it's amazing. It should be all there and it should be transparent. And anybody objectively looking at the bigger picture of this war should just be backing out of it and saying, you know what, you don't have to like Putin, you don't have to like Russia, but they're in the right here. Just let those people be, let them be a part of Russia if they want to. Sorry, Ukraine's still a massive country. If you're not going to treat those people nicely, then you don't deserve to have them.
When Putin was talking with Tucker, he went on for quite some time, very detailed manner, in discussing the history of that region of the world and different countries and different territories. And, I assume that's what people are using against Putin to say, like, he's discussing prehistoric or, 1,000-year-old, 2,000-year-old empires that also encapsulated this area. That's why they're claiming he's going to Putin. It's like Howard Dean. He's going to go to Czechoslovakia, and he's going to go to Slovenia, and he's going to go to Bosnia.
Yeah.
Something like that? Is
Yeah,
that what
no,
they're using
they've said
against
that.
him?
Oh, he's gonna do first it's Ukraine, then he's gonna go into Poland. Like why the fuck would he go into Poland? Poland's a NATO country. They have their own totally different culture that they've had for thousands of years. So he has no business trying to they're trying to make him sound like the Führer, and he's going to try to take over all of Europe. It's total BS. And then then they blow up the Nord Stream pipelines and try to blame it on him. No, they've botched this whole thing. Now they're trying to
spied
save
on Trump,
face.
and they blamed it on Russia. Trump gets elected, they blame it on Russia. Russia. Everything is just pin the tail on Russia. It's like, you guys, man, this is stupid. This is really stupid. What are we doing here? What has Russia done to us? I can understand a good punchback, but what have they done to us? What is going on? Is there part of the story we're missing? The story is that Mike Johnson was told something by the deep state, and he's not allowed to repeat it. He can't tell the rest of Congress, but it's totally super serious, you guys. It's totally super serious. We got to pass this budget now. No, it was like skiff information. I can't talk about it, but dude, if you know, you know. IYKYK, if you know, you know. I'm Mike Johnson. I approve this message. I don't know why he turned into Spicoli all of a sudden, but
yeah.
That's the rumor. It's like, is there something happening behind the scenes that we don't know about? How about just tell us? Because it's got to be easier than all of these fabricated lies. Has to be easier than all of these piles of fake stories. We don't trust anything coming out of your mouth at this point, because you just look in our eye and you lie to us while you're whizzing on our leg. And oh, look at this weather. Look at that drizzle, baby. Look at that drizzle. For shizzle.
Right. No, the two biggest obstacles for the conquering of the planet are the United States and Russia.
Okay. Well,
and
all right. Well, what about this one here from this New York Democrat? You pulled up this story. What's this person?
No, it's the same one. This is this goofball calling out MAGA, saying they got to be killed or what have you. But no, not actually killed. We could run this quick.
Morning. Trump is old. He's gonna die.
Okay, now do Biden. All right. Anyway.
And a lot of these MAGA people, they ain't young. And there's way more of us than them.
Yeah, this guy's actually running for Congress. This is his mentality. And so, anyway, yeah.
Snap. How cute.
Yeah. Wants to kill his rivals, I guess. I don't know. They're totally unhinged and lost. But yeah, that was part of the story there. Okay. So it was, what is it? MAGA movement preys on people who are not informed, because that's what he said. But it sounds like he's the one who's really uninformed and delusional. And projecting.
You can like Vivek. You can dislike Vivek. He appears to be pretty well informed. He doesn't seem pretty old. I don't know. I really wish Trump would just pick his vice president already. I saw Kristi Noem on a video interview yesterday, day before, and it just got me thinking again. It's like, where is the strategic advantage? Does he still not know? Has the person not agreed to it yet? Is he going to go back to Pence? Now I'm thinking all sorts of crazy stuff. But why not? I don't know.
I don't know if they typically announce this early, but maybe he will. I don't exactly know what the procedure is, or do they wait till the when did they announce Pence? I can't remember. I don't even know if it's till after they secure the nomination. So after the RNC convention, or the Republican National Convention, then he'll make his announcement, or is it before that? I'm not exactly sure.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Blake, did Pence?
I don't remember Pence making a speech. Did he?
Did Pence give a speech at RNC?
I don't know if he did. I mean, maybe he did. I can't remember. I don't know exactly how the procedure typically works.
I wasn't in the convention hall. I saw Richard Clark, Sheriff Clark from Milwaukee, President Trump. Not a lot, though. I didn't spend a lot of time in the main arena for the main blah blah speeches. Anyway, we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. All right, we got 2 more stories here while Blake looks up when they normally select the vice president. Blake, I just brought up Vivek, and I mentioned Kristi Noem. And I was also watching.
Might not be till August, I think.
Oh, that'd be a terrible idea. I was also watching an hour and a half of Adam Carolla with Tulsi Gabbard, who's another name that's out there as a choice. If I did just ask you right now, Blake, you here's the deal. You get to select the vice president, but you have to do it in 10 seconds. Who would you pick right now off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I'd take either Vivek or Carrie Lake.
Or Jake the Snake.
Well, I mean, even Tulsi Gabbard, maybe. I'm not entirely opposed to her. Those are 3 good choices right there.
You didn't like my joke? I kept the rhyme going.
Vivek,
okay. Carrie Lake,
sorry, my bad.
I got a double word score. They both
snake.
rhymed. Oh.
Right.
Oh, you are a wordsmith. I thought you would have appreciated that one. Or is
That
it
was
just
great.
alliteration?
Okay, now you lost me there, but yes, I've been watching a lot of those wrestling shoot videos or whatever.
Shoot
From
videos?
What's that? It's just getting the I was a big wrestling fan in the 80s and the early 90s, and just hearing the old stories about people. And they talk about the inside baseball, basically.
I love those.
Yeah, it's called the shoot videos, I think. But yeah, I've been watching like Bobby the Brain Heenan, and yeah, just talking about the good old days.
Are you in our group? Are you in T-Nam Wrestling?
No, I didn't even know there was a T-Nam Wrestling.
Well,
I don't do the Facebook stuff anyway, but okay.
Oh, we share so much good wrestling behind the scenes stuff. Oh, it's incredible. Anyway.
Well, maybe I would like it because I was a huge, like in the 80s, I'd say 84 to 94, somewhere in there. I was a big wrestling nut.
All right. Well, let me ask.
The golden age of yes.
Who favorite wrestlers? Who's in your top 4? Your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, just personal favorites. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I liked Rick Martel when I was a kid because he was like the AWA champion in the beginning, and I kind of like, even though he did that model gimmick, which was kind of stupid. I like some of the Minnesota guys, like Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. Oh, cool.
I just invited you to T-Nam Wrestling, TNAM Wrestling. It's a good group. Oh, by the way, Mark Claire does a wrestling show. Did you know that? Yeah. He's in the group. He shared a video. Yeah, he does like regular wrestling videos now. He's kind of steered away from. I got to connect with Mark. I should bring him back on the show too. But all right, you've been invited.
We watched the Royal Rumble this year because that's the only event I really care about. That's the only thing I think is actually still watchable. I wouldn't care about much anything else, but I will make time for the Royal Rumble every January or whatever.
All right. Well, let's talk about this Royal Rumble here. Summer of Love 2.0. Here we go. Seems like every election season, either it's Occupy or it's BLM, and now it's this. Agree or disagree, Blake, that we should send the National Guard to crush pro-Palestinian protesters? Agree or disagree?
I would say probably disagree, unless they really are just out of hand and they need to. Like it's a major security issue, which is possible. I'm not saying it's not. But it's put up by Senator Hawley saying, send the National Guard, crush pro-Palestine protests like Eisenhower sent the 101st to Little Rock. So that was to force integration of public schools at gunpoint. So Eisenhower sent them out because they didn't want to hate the black students with the white students, which was pretty bold and pretty awesome, actually, that he was able to do that for what I would say is a justifiable cause. Some real deep racism back in those days. But now, Hawley was accused of anti-Semitism for attending I don't know, without getting into the weeds. I don't want to get into it too much. But now Josh Hawley here is saying, in the wake of October 7th, he made a name for himself by criticizing cancel culture, wokeness, and online censorship of conservatives, started demanding the Department of Homeland Security fire critics in their employ, cancel the visas of critics of Israel and have them deported for their anti-Israel political views. And now he's calling out the National Guard to protect Jewish Americans. Now, I'm no fan of any of this. Who's pro-Hamas. I'm not going to support anybody who's anti-Semitic. These students should feel, safe on campus. I don't know how much of this stuff is actually, exaggerated. But I mean, if there's I don't know if I've heard any real stories about some of these students being assaulted, hurt. Have they been injured? Have they been killed? No. But certainly it's a bad look to to go after Jewish Americans just for being Jewish. So I don't know how extreme this stuff goes. So maybe in an isolated case it could happen. I don't know. So Brian, what do you think?
I think that you need to get a firm grasp of what's going on. I think if people want to be loud and have their protests, and do their thing. Look, I think I went to the Occupy LA rallies kind of right at the beginning of the New American Media. And
I was in Las Vegas in solidarity.
Yep. I was talking to people. I was getting their opinions. I liked some of their opinions. I found some of their opinions abhorrent. Regardless, they were in a park. They were getting attention. They were doing their thing. They walked down the sidewalks. They weren't blocking the streets. As far as I think they did go on a procession, and I was not going to continue. I kind of gathered what I could. It was at where did that park downtown? Was that MacArthur Park? Anyway, we can't let things devolve into what happened in the Summer of Love. The George Floyd riots, the BLM riots. We can't have these mass coordinated uprisings with no accountability, with no strength and firepower, if you will, hoping that everything stays peaceful. But we saw BLM, those riots. What was it down in? What was that? David Dorn, that officer that was killed in St. Louis. There were a lot of deaths because of these cities burning, and I don't want to see that. So if the National Guard needs to come into some of these schools and calm some shit down a little bit and temper some things and kind of figure out where there's going to be lines of feel free to protest, and here's where people walk, and you cannot block somebody from, look, these are kids. These are kids acting like kids. They're acting out. Just set some clear-cut boundaries that are common sense. And if people like Ilhan Omar's daughter, I mean, you saw that, she got kicked out of school, and I was like, I don't have food.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got kicked out of school, kiddo. I mean, what do you want? Go find some food. Go get a job. Go move back in with your mom, brother, cousin, sister, whatever's going on in that household full of illegal immigration claims. That whole family getting in fraudulently from Somalia to settle up in Minneapolis or the surrounding area in Minnesota. So yeah, Blake, I would actually maybe not send in the National Guard to crush pro-Palestinian protesters like Iron Fist, I'm Hulk smash. But I watched videos where people are being blocked, they're being bullied, they're being threatened, they're being manhandled, they're being pushed around, they're being really restrained. They did it to Riley Gaines. What you get into kidnapping mode territory, wrongful imprisonment, kidnapping, whatever lighter versions of that there are. If you're holding people against their will, now you're in a self-defense situation. This escalates instantly. As soon as somebody gets into the path of like, I'm now going to threaten and dominate you physically, then you're in self-defense, and I am going to defend somebody's right to defend themselves. So, yeah, I'm okay with some of that. Anyway, Okay, maybe not crush it, but kind of guide it and make sure we don't go off the rails. Final story here, Blake. Who is the best president that we've had in this country? Do you agree or disagree that Joe Biden is the best president that we've had in this country?
Well, I am going to disagree emphatically. I mean, it's this ridiculous question, but yeah, it's wild to see this. So this came from Luke Skywalker. It says the cringe is strong with this one. Luke Skywalker calls Biden the best president we've ever had. This is not the tweet you were looking for. So Mark Hamill, who has only ever had one significant role, that of Luke Skywalker, and he now ruined Star Wars, has declared Biden to be the best president of the U.S. ever. So, Brian, yeah, maybe he's typecast. Do you think Mark Hamill is typecast, or do you think he's just maybe not that great of an actor? This was like his one big role, and he just doesn't really have that much versatility. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Like, oh, there's Luke Skywalker. He's doing some new show. I think he's only done, he probably makes so much damn money off of it. He doesn't need anything else. But it's wild.
Actually, it depends on the contract that he signed back in the day. If he signed a contract to get nothing, I don't know. I'm sure they take care of him okay with residuals at this point.
Harrison Ford was Indiana Jones and like 50 other things. He had a huge career. Some of those
Harrison
guys.
Ford, man. He had it all. To be both of those action figures.
Right. Yeah, he pretty much dominated those early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And all the way through. He's still a stud. Yeah, all these years later, he still did what was it? Blade Runner 2049. Yeah.
The Fugitive.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah, Mark Hamill hasn't done as much. I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine having many nice things to say about Joe Biden. Objectively, I wouldn't even know where to start, from showering with Ashley allegedly to raising the degenerate Hunter to overthrowing Ukraine in 2014 and getting us on the verge of nuclear apocalypse. I couldn't imagine having much to say, let alone he's the best president we've ever had. So I don't know. I think maybe he took a couple too many lightsabers to the dome, if you will. So
yeah, even if he's just got this crazy TDS and he hates Republicans or whatever, but how could you still think Biden was better than, say, Bill Clinton first term, 93, 94 was pretty awesome. Even though I hated Obama, even 2009 Obama makes, that's like a paradise compared to today's dystopia. So I'm just blown away why he's just putting out these cringy posts.
Yeah, him and Stephen King need to work on a project together ASAP. Maybe starring Stephen Colbert while they're at it. Maybe Bill Maher. All right. Wacky.
No, Bill Maher is actually like a voice of reason and sanity sometimes.
Yeah, I have a hard time bending over too far backward to grant kudos for, wow, you had a couple of common sense opinions. Oh, I need a round of applause for this.
You know what? I'm sorry, we do, because most of the leftists are fucking cult followers, and he's like one out of 1,000 that's actually willing to say something different than his party. Him and like Jon Stewart occasionally will actually break free from their just absolute, I don't know, brainwashed cult and say something reasonable and kind of force them to maybe reevaluate some of their opinions.
Agreed. I take your point. I'm just saying, he's still wrong on so many of the important things with all of his TDS that he's suffering from. So, okay. Dreamer was saying it's hard enough to do a good job, but man, it's a minefield anymore. Every industry. And he hopes Luke was being sarcastic. I don't think so. I've seen
he's always putting out that's what he par for the course.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. TDS
taken over. Maybe the Empire abducted Luke and they've sent out this really bad clone who puts out these
TDS be with you.
Things. Yeah.
May the TDS be with you, good sir.
Yes, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up for today. Blake, follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X and thenextlevelnews.com. You're doing a Toxically Masculine Tuesday show tonight with Mike Barra and Dr. Brooks Agnew, is it?
Yes, Dr. Brooks Agnew. Absolutely.
Where do people find that show?
9 p.m. Eastern time, and that's on various channels. Just look for me on Twitter, TV's Blake Walley. The archive will also be on the Next Level News. It's also MikeBarra.blogspot.com. It's on some of the YouTube channels of Mike Barra, also on Rumble at Real News Live. A few places, but you'll find it on Twitter for sure. I'll definitely tweet out the link later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Join us. That'd be great. All right.
Perfect.
Otherwise, it's been a pleasure, Brian. We'll continue this conversation another time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. I will release you now, and I'll leave people some breadcrumbs in the forest where they can find the New American Media. It's never been more important to find us, follow us, as it is right now, everybody. The New American Media is under assault. We have been shadow banned, demonetized, deleted, deranked, deboosted, everything they claimed that they weren't doing. Yes, in the past couple of years, it's all come out that, yes, they have been throttling and harming businesses like ours. So if you do like the New American Media and you do like people giving you stories without a particular slant or a sponsor trying to guide and manipulate the delivery of what we're assessing to be relatively accurate information. And yes, of course, that is speculation. That's opining. It's talking about it, thinking about it, elaborating on it. But that's what the New American Media is. The old American Media has failed you. Patreon.com/the New American Media. You can buy us a cup of coffee on there. You can do the Notflix. So you spend like $15.75 for the same as a Netflix account. You can sponsor us that each month, reoccurring. I think we have $100 a month, $1,000 a month, I think even $10,000 a month. If you have way more money than time, but you do appreciate what we're doing, and you'd like to see us expand and hire some people to kind of boost the result that you're getting. What you're seeing is a very tight-knit program of just a couple of people in limited budgets. However, it does add up quickly with all of the web hosting and all of the compliance stuff and equipment that we must acquire to deliver to you. Dreamer, thank you so much. So patreon.com/the New American Media if you like us. Also, our other stuff, our Facebook page is linked at thenewamericanmedia.com. Go to the right in the bottom. It has our X feed at American_media_ and our Facebook page. Go to youtube.com/the New American Media. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We have 13 years of shows, 1,400 videos. Really cool stuff. Click on our highest watched shows and let some of them play. We could use some of those engagement numbers. Like the show, leave some comments so the algorithm sees, because YouTube has drastically cut our reach. For the thousands of people that are subscribed, a scant few are able to see this program when we do upload it. So we've built an alternate reality in two places. One of those is Odyssey, Odyssee. Go on odyssey.com and search The New American Media. Everything we upload to YouTube is duplicated onto Odyssey. So that is going to be a great place to find the New American Media if things went wonky. Also, most of the things that we do on YouTube end up on the Rumble account. So Rumble, The New American Media, hit subscribe. I think we need 50 more subscriptions so that we can live stream. I'm not entirely certain how that works. Also, because Facebook is a Meta product, we've branched out from there. So on Meta, find the New American Media on Instagram and like that page. Good memes, dank memes, good interaction there. I like the platform. A lot of stories. So if you're scrolling, you'll see the New American Media. Sometimes we'll give you a couple of stories. Sometimes we'll give you 20 stories. But we're going to find interesting things that we think are relevant, timely. I didn't even talk about that self-immolation guy in New York last week. Put it out on X. I don't feel like talking about it. I don't want this to become a trend, but now this is two of them. Somebody's putting these people up to it on American soil. Something sinister is afoot, but you would have found that on X if you scroll back at American_media_, and you'll see these stories that we share on Instagram as well. Maybe it's 20-1 post versus story shares. So find us on that platform. Also on Telegram. That's our backup for Meta for Facebook. So Telegram, we're TNAM and TNAM chat. On Signal, we're the New American Media or TNAM official. I got to make sure I want to change those TNAM and TNAM chat. Truth Social, the new American media. Hit subscribe, please. We want more interaction on Truth Social. Need that to be robust and rounded out. A good foundation built for this election season. And Spotify. Subscribe to the podcast for the Agree to Disagree show and the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. That's the other program that we do. So those are both available to subscribe to on Spotify. So special thanks to Blake Walley. Once again, check him out at TV's Blake Walley on X in The Next Level News. Find him tonight at Toxically Masculine Tuesday. And I'm going to sign out for now. So we plan on being back on Thursday, roughly 3 p.m. Eastern time. We had 2 tech glitches today. Had to reconnect things and had to reboot things and had to relaunch some stuff. But, you know, such is the price you pay to connect instantaneously to everybody simultaneously around the world. You know, I'll take a couple hiccups from time to time. But, yeah, plan on being back in 2 days. But like I said, subscribe, like, comment, share, engage with the content. Invite some of your friends to jump in because we appreciate having you around to leave the comments and kind of help round out our conversation and let us know if there's any important stories that we have missed. So for everybody out there, I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon.